Do you ever hear people talking about their side hustles and think, why not me? Well, what's stopping you? We worked with HubSpot to create a database of 100 side hustle ideas that you can start now. Everything from design and real estate to public speaking and wellness. There's something in there for everyone. Plus, we cover the skills you need and the investment you'll probably have to make to get started. Ready to break out of your 9-to-5? Go to HubSpot.com/THDS to download for free. Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, January 3rd. I'm John Weigell here with Juliet, Bennett, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Netflix continues to smash other streaming services and subscriber counts amid price hikes, but there was a time when their subscribers walked out in droves. The subject of their frustration was Netflix Qwikster, a 2011 blunder by the company that segmented their streaming service and DVD business into two separate entities. So why did this decision fail so incredibly back then on what is a great streaming market right now? Juliet, can you tell us what place Netflix was in with their business in 2011?
This is a place some of you may remember vividly because it was that weird time when you're like, wait, TV on the computer is good? I mean, for a long, long time, we had TV on networks like Fox and CBS, and that's where all the good shows were. Maybe there's something you watched on USA or TNT, but you definitely were not watching a lot of internet TV unless you were really into like YouTube series. And then all of a sudden, here comes AMC, and you're like, AMC, the channel for old movies? And no, it's the channel for great TV. But when it comes to Netflix, in the year 2011, its streaming platform was pretty blah. Mm-hmm. Even if you think of like the earliest Netflix hits, which in my memory were Orange is the New Black and House of Cards. Those were the two big ones.
Yep.
Those came out in 2013. So in 2011, Netflix is kind of like, yeah, there's some stuff to watch on the computer or whatever. But at that point, it was mostly, if I want to watch what I really want to watch, I got to get a DVD.
Right. Yeah. So they had that business model back in the day. My mom actually was a Netflix subscriber when they were on straight DVDs. And I remember that time very well of being sent DVDs and then seeing what they had on the streaming service and noticing that they had absolutely nothing worth watching and then continuing to order, I don't know, whatever DVDs we were ordering.
Yeah. I think my earliest memory of the Netflix DVDs was I watched Dexter on it, like season 1.
Ooh, yeah.
And it was on HBO.
Nice. I used to order WWE pay-per-views because that's the only way that you could see them on DVD after they had already aired. So that was back in the 2010s. Mm-hmm. But then, streaming, they start to bulk it up a little bit eventually because they seem to have known where streaming was going. And this decision that they made in 2011, can you talk me through what they decided to do and how they decided to kind of invest more in streaming or separate the platform?
So Reed Hastings was still the CEO back then, and he announced that basically streaming and DVDs, he said they are two quite different businesses. And they had different cost structures and marketing needs, and it was just kind of becoming complicated for Netflix to operate these two things at the same time. So the plan was, instead of paying $10 a month to get both streaming and DVDs, you're going to have to split them in half. So each one is going to be $8, which if you only like one is cheaper. But if you want both, if you want the service you've been getting for $10, now you're paying $16, and that's a 60% price hike. Okay.
And obviously, people did not take too kindly to that.
No, people did not like it. They got big mad. They were just enraged. I mean, you see that now every time Netflix is like, we're going to be $1 more. People are like, I'm going to cancel my Netflix. There's nothing on there anyways. And, you see it all the time. But This was like a significant change.
Yes.
It wasn't just a little price hike. It wasn't, you can get ads now. It was like, we're going to take away the thing you like and make you pay a lot more for it.
Yeah, and the most interesting part about this is that although kind of given the comments by Reed Hastings, it kind of makes sense that they would separate it, but they separated them into two very different businesses with very different needs and very different operating costs, with Netflix on one side as the streamer and Qwikster on the other side for DVDs. But there seemed like there were a lot more intricacies in here that made it a lot harder for people to actually use both services.
Right. And I think if the Netflix had just been like, okay, you're going to pay X dollars a month for streaming or DVDs, and then if you want the other thing as an add-on, you're going to pay X. But that's not what they did. They said Netflix is the streaming service, and that is all Netflix is. The DVD service is this brand new thing called Qwikster. And you're going to have to create your own account for that with your own logins, your own payment methods. And now you've got 2 accounts that you have to manage and look at for what used to be the same thing. And so it wasn't just that it was more expensive, it was also that it was more annoying. I think NPR compared it to one of the most famous failed products, which we have not talked about yet, but New Coke, which is just, why? It was working. Why would you do this?
Right. Why would you make that decision? And in this kind of lane, in my most professional opinion possible, this seems very dumb and annoying because now you have to create 2 accounts for the same service by the same company that does different things. And this just kind of reads into what I do now every day, which is somehow remember 85 passwords for every single thing that I log into ever.
Right.
So people are mad, not going great. What happened as a result of this?
So I think Hastings made the first announcement in July of 2011. And by October, it was, never mind. Pulled the plug on the whole thing. And, at the same time, that quarter, it had lost about 800,000 subscribers. Its stock plummeted 30%. So, it wasn't a great time.
Yeah, not a very good time for Netflix. Possibly one of the worst times, considering that 800,000 subscriber decline. I believe I saw a chart on this via Quartz. But if you look at the graph for subscriber growth, there is a staunch decline in 2011 from this. But otherwise, it's very much just like up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And as we know today, they recovered nicely. But this must have been a really big impact to the business at the time.
Yeah. And what's also interesting to me about it is like, you have to wonder, why were you doing this? Okay, well, yeah, there was the added cost. There was a journalist at The Atlantic who, had this idea that like, oh, maybe they wanted to sell it. Maybe they want to completely spin off the DVD thing and then sell that company to, I don't know, somebody else. Like it would be its own Redbox kind of company.
Yep.
But I think the problem potentially is that Netflix was always correct in that it was going to be a streaming platform and not a DVD business, because we were going to become a streaming society. I own 0 DVDs. All of the media I own is in a cloud somewhere.
Right.
And we're seeing the chickens come home to roost on that too, because if your favorite show, if David Zaslav decides he no longer wants it on his platform, there went your favorite show. You cannot log in and watch your comfort show anymore. It's gone forever. We have movies that are completely made and you don't even get to watch them because they've decided that they don't want to release them. So we're now seeing like what happens when you don't have physical media, when you don't own anything anymore. But, I think Netflix got ahead of itself with this thing because it was always going to be a streaming platform and it was always going to get rid of its DVD business, which it has since done. It just tried to do it too fast, too expensive, and too annoying for its subscriber base.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised that they maintained the DVD business for as long as they did, because I know up top you described it as they got rid of it in September of 2023, it looks like. So I had no idea it was an option. Like, point me to where on their website you could have gone in August of 2023 or September of 2023 to find where to do that. But the fact that they kept it up for that long is rather impressive. And it may have been a result of them being scared to relive the same trauma that they did in 2011.
I don't know anyone who was using Netflix DVD rental service in the last decade. No, I may be something of an outlier here. I don't really know. But like, none of my computers even have a slot to put a DVD in anymore.
Yeah.
And neither does my TV. And if I want to play a DVD, I'm going to have to go and buy a DVD player.
Yep.
And I have not done that because there's a million things on Netflix and Max and Hulu. Like, I don't know. I would have to be such a weird special thing that only comes on DVD that I would have to be so important to me that I would go out and buy a whole new thing.
Yep.
I know people who are into like really obscure movies and they're like, I can only get this at Vidiot's or whatever, which is a place where you rent really weird movies. I don't know anyone other outside of that pocket who even has the capacity or regularly watches DVDs at all, or Blu-rays for that matter.
Yep. It's all streaming. And, they were completely right about that. Like, there's nothing that is going to make me dust off the old PS2 and throw a DVD in there right now. Everything is kind of getting recycled in media and everything is on streaming. And Netflix was 100% right about that. And they're kind of winning off of that thinking. But at this time, it seems like they just kind of moved a little too fast for their own good and kind of got checked because of it.
Which just goes to show you can make everyone mad at you and still recover and, have a lot of money.
Yeah, it's good to know. Good to know for you and I as well.
Yes.
All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage on our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get signed up this year at thehustle.co/email. Throw us a follow on Instagram as well at The Hustle Daily, and we'll catch you next week. Hey everybody, it's your host, John Weigell. If you love the insights HubSpot brings to your podcast feed, then you're going to love Marketplace Tech. This daily podcast keeps you up to speed about the latest in tech news and what it all means for the economy. With stories about AI regulation, the fight against misinformation, and the latest in crypto, Marketplace Tech is essential listening to understand the business behind innovation. Listen to Marketplace Tech wherever you get your podcasts.